Hi, my name is AJ. I've built a couple businesses to $1 million a year before from Bootstrapped. And so I want to show you the process that I follow so that you can model and copy it and implement it in your own life or business if you don't have a process right now. Is this the best, most perfect strategy in the whole world? No, but it's the one that worked for me. And like, a strategy is better than just flying by the seat of your pants. So if you will feel like you match my energy of needing to like get things happening and want them to happen right now, this is the strategy I follow to grow offers and companies to about $1 million a year. Okay, so the first thing I do is I always validate the offer. This is kind of step one that often gets skipped. And what do I mean? I basically mean testing out if people are willing to buy this and if they are happy with the product. And if you're happy selling it, right? Like if it's viable for you financially to do it. So this is why I think a lot, especially in like the marketing space, you see a lot of like test runs and beta runs, beta offers, is because they're validating for themselves, is this something I want to do long term, right? It's not even to see if it'll work. It will most likely work if somebody's going to sell it to you. I hope to God, but it's more just to make sure that it will scale as an actual viable company. Because the last thing we want to do is just create another job for ourselves. So first thing I always do is validate it with a small handful of people. Make sure, hey, is this something that I would be okay doing? And scaling to small business level, whether it's just a couple $1 million a year, or maybe you want to blow it up and take over the world and go beyond that. That would be cool, right? So that's kind of the first thing I would do. That's phase one. All right, phase two is once you validated the offer and let's say you got your first handful of case studies or clients and you're like, hey, I'm happy, they're happy, this is really working. The next two phases, honestly, are sales. And I know people don't want to focus on that because it's icky sounding, but like if you don't sell to anybody, you're not going to have a business. I'm sorry. Like if you don't sell, you can't sell. Like, like if you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like if you want to serve people, you need to sell them your services. That doesn't mean you have to hard sell them and tell them like they're going to be complete failures if they don't buy your stuff. Like don't be manipulative, but you do have to sell your stuff. So the first part of selling more of this so that you can stress test this and see how it will work with more clients is to initiate outbound sales or outbound marketing. Outbound is defined as reaching out to people. It's the difference between me knocking on your door and saying, hey, I sell bread versus an inbound lead, which is somebody who walks into your bakery and they say, hey, I need bread. Right? It's me going to them saying, hey, I think you would really like this, right? Outbound, I typically tell people to start with for a couple of reasons. One, it's more cost effective, but two, it's actually harder to sell a lot of the times than inbound. And if you can sell to outbound, selling later is going to be even easier, right? So dialing out the outbound process will really give you a stress test if people will buy your product. So outbound is typically, outbound sales is the next step two in this phase. Okay, step three would be inbound sales. Now, inbound sales is creating pieces of sales collateral, might be ads, might be content, might be a storefront, whatever it is, that gives people the opportunity to come to you. Right? It can even be radio, right? It can be newspaper ads. Like it's just anything that allows them the opportunity to self-select and come to you. Part of the reason I put this at third is that it costs more money, right? It can be cost prohibitive to do inbound marketing. Just to like test things out, you're looking at probably a couple $1,000 a month. Not to mention service fees of a firm who would run it for you if you weren't running it yourself. So that's typically why I put inbound sales as third, but it's going to give you another way to potentially increase your total volume of sales. And the benefit is those sales will be even easier. So yourself and your team who you may have hired to support you with sales are going to have an even easier, it's going to feel like gravy for them. They're going to love it. Okay. So that's typically the third step is inbound sales. Okay. Fourth step in this process is to really ramp up support. So as you've ramped up sales, what's probably happened is you've needed some support. Now you might have like hired people here and there to kind of what we call like patch up the boat. But now you need a better boat and a crew, right? You need an actual crew, not just somebody with some duct tape. So typically the next thing I'll do is bring in the support team that needs to actually manage the day-to-day on the fulfillment side because chances are you can't do it anymore. So that's always been my fourth step is once I've ramped up sales, really like honing in the support team so that it kind of runs automatically without you, bringing in, I think like operations or a fulfillment lead who can really own all that stuff is kind of your next step. And again, getting a good person who does support costs money, right? Which is typically why I put sales first, is because it allows you to reinvest it in the business and give even better support to your clients while you're just working a lot in the interim, right? So yeah, that's always been my fourth step. All right. And then after I bring in that team, my fifth step is probably not a cute one. I call it cleanup. That's the cleanup step. That is when I need to clean any little things that have slipped through the cracks in the time I've been working a lot, ramping up this offer. So this might be like, hey, do we need a better organization of this system? Do we need our CRM to be clean? Do we need our project management tool? Do we need a project manager, right? Cleanup could be hiring people as well, but it's just making sure everything's super organized. Usually I go to my fractional CFO and I'm like, help, right? That's what I typically do. And she goes, not again. So that's typically the next step I would do. And then once that's clean, your system is running, you have clients in sales, you're probably already almost at the $1 million a year mark. Then I look at activities to start scaling, where scaling would be hiring leadership and or investing in the right channels for growth. But once you're there, you're typically looking more at executive leadership to hire versus the day-to-day stuff to get things firing on all cylinders. So those are the 6 steps I've taken. It's worked a few times for me. I've seen it work for clients of mine as well. So feel free to copy those. If you think they're cringe, tell me. If you think it's genius, tell me that too. Okay. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope you find it helpful. I want to make sure that these are as helpful for you as humanly possible. And that is what I'm committing to over the summer here, is just trying to make things that would have helped me out, years ago. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.